Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something from experience, from pain, and from watching thousands of people go through this. Next year, I'm gonna break something down to you real simple. Pain ain't the end of your story. Pain is just the beginning. See, we live in a world that tells you pain is something to avoid, something to hide, something to be ashamed of. But let me tell you what I know from every setback, every betrayal, every heartbreak I've seen and survived. Pain is not where you stop, it's where you start. It's the beginning of your growth, your evolution, your awakening. Pain is the thing that cracks you wide open so the light can finally get in. Now, I know you hurt me. He broke your heart, and you probably feel like the whole world done collapsed on you. You can't sleep, can't eat. You checking your phone, hoping for a message, looking in the mirror, wondering if you weren't enough. You was enough. He just wasn't built to handle your kind of love. And you thinking this pain you're feeling is the end of you. Baby girl, no. This ain't your finish line. It's your launching pad. Pain is a teacher. It's not gentle. It's not soft. But it will show you what you've been ignoring. It'll show you where you gave too much, where you lost yourself trying to save somebody else. It'll reveal the parts of you that need healing, the standards you need to raise, and the boundaries you forgot to draw. Sometimes God will let your heart break just so you finally pay attention to who's been holding it. And if the wrong person's been holding it, sometimes it's got to shatter for you to take it back. Don't waste your pain crying over someone who didn't know how to value you. Use that pain, use it as fuel. Use it to become the woman you forgot you were before he made you question your worth. Because pain, when channeled right, turns into power. You can take that ache in your chest and flip it into discipline, into drive, into glow-up energy. And you can walk into a room with all that pain behind your eyes and turn every head into place. Because pain didn't make you bitter. It made you unstoppable. Listen to me. When a woman has been hurt and she chooses to rise anyway, when she chooses to forgive herself, to build herself up, to walk away with her dignity and her edges still intact, that's when the real shift happens. That's when pain stops being something that happened to you and becomes something that happened for you. It refines you. It exposed who was for you and who was using you. And now you got clarity, you got strength, you got wisdom. That's the gift pain gives you, if you let it. I'm telling you right now, you're going to thank this moment one day. Not because it was fair, not because it was easy, but because it forced you to stop shrinking yourself for someone who was never ready to grow with you. It pushed you to discover the version of yourself that doesn't settle, doesn't chase, doesn't beg. You're going to wake up one day and realize the heartbreak was actually the beginning of your rebirth. He thought he broke you, but all he did was introduce you to your real self. You didn't lose, baby. You got redirected. He was never the prize you were. And now that you got pain pushing you instead of holding you back, there's nothing you can't do. So hold your head up, wipe those tears, straighten that crown, because this pain, it's not your conclusion, it's your call to rise. Let me say something to every woman who's been doubting herself because some man didn't recognize her worth. Your value does not drop just because he couldn't see it. You don't become less because he left. You don't become small because he couldn't handle your greatness. What he saw or didn't see has nothing to do with the truth of who you are. A man's inability to appreciate you does not mean you're not valuable. It just means he wasn't qualified to carry what you bring. Now, I know when someone walks away, it feels personal, especially when you gave him your time, your energy, your loyalty, you invested in him, you believed in his potential, even when he didn't believe in himself. You prayed for him, supported him, maybe even fixed messes he should have cleaned up on his own, and he still walked away. Or worse, he stayed and disrespected you like you were disposable, and it made you question everything: your beauty, your intelligence, your heart, your femininity. You started wondering, am I not enough? Baby, let me tell you something right now. You were more than enough. That man was just not equipped to recognize or handle a woman of your caliber. You ever hand a diamond to somebody who only deals in glass? They don't know what to do with it. They can't even tell the difference. They'll drop it, damage it, treat it like it's ordinary, all because they never had anything real in their hands before. It's not your fault. That's on them. Your value is not up for debate. It's not based on someone's inability to commit. It's not defined by who stayed or who walked away. Your value comes from the God that made you, from the woman you've worked to become, from the light you carry inside of you. You are a prize, whether he saw it or not, whether he texted back or ghosted, whether he praised you or played you. You are still the blessing he'll never get again. See, here's what happens too often. We tie our worth to how someone else treats us. If they love us, we feel worthy. If they ignore us, we feel broken. But love from the wrong person will never validate you. And rejection from the wrong person can't diminish you. If someone couldn't see your value, it's because their vision was too limited. Not because your worth was too small. That man looked at gold and couldn't recognize it. And that has nothing to do with the goal. Sometimes it takes walking away to realize what you've been carrying this whole time. You've been loving people who weren't ready, investing in men who were emotionally bankrupt, showing up full for people who gave you crumbs. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you generous. But now it's time to be generous with yourself. Time to stop waiting for someone to validate you and start walking like you already know who you are. You got to understand this. Your worth is fixed. It doesn't drop when you're single. It doesn't spike when you're taken. It doesn't shrink when you're healing. It doesn't rise when you get a compliment. Your worth is there, steady and constant, even when someone else fails to honor it. You're not a clearance item. Your love don't go on sale just because somebody don't know how to pay full price. Man, who couldn't see you? He'll remember you. Maybe not today, maybe not next month. But one day he's going to look back and realize he fumbled a real one. And by then you'll be too far gone to care, because you'll have already learned that you never needed him to see your value. You just needed to see it yourself. And once you do that, nobody can take it from you. Let me tell you something about a man's ego. It's fragile, real fragile. See, most men walk around looking tough, acting like they're in control, like nothing can touch them. But the truth is, a man's ego is one of the most sensitive things you'll ever encounter. And when you've been the woman who loved him, lifted him, believed in him, gave him access to you, when you walk away from that, when you glow up after he messed up, that bruises his ego worse than any revenge you could ever plan. Now, I know what that heartbreak makes you feel. It makes you want to show him. You want to make him feel what he made you feel. You want to post the subliminal quotes, say something slick, show up where he is, let him know you ain't broken. But here's the truth. Real power don't move loud like that. Real power moves in silence. It walks into a room without announcing itself. It lets your success speak before your mouth ever opens. Actually, if you want to hurt a man's ego, especially one who broke your heart thinking you'd never recover, don't waste your time trying to get even. Don't argue. Don't lower yourself to pettiness. Don't trade your dignity for drama. Let him sit with the fact that he lost access to a woman who was loyal, solid, and rare. Let him watch you succeed. Let him watch you heal, glow, rise, because nothing hits harder than a woman who leveled up and never looked back. That man expected you to fold. He thought you were going to chase him, beg him, maybe even lose yourself trying to prove your worth. But when you do the opposite, when you keep your peace, when you go quiet and start working on you, when you stop showing up where he expects to find you, that ego gets hit hard. Because now he's not just losing you, he's losing a version of himself he only knew through your love. And don't get it twisted, he's watching. Even if he's not liking your posts, even if he hasn't said a word, he's watching you win, watching you glow, watching you laugh again, love yourself again, start your business, fix your life, move in silence. And every move you make without him is a reminder that he never stopped anything. You were the blessing. You were the covering. You were the good thing, and he threw it away. That's why I say don't seek revenge. Revenge is noisy and short-lived. But success is quiet and permanent. It's rooted, it's undeniable, and it hits differently when it's unexpected. The same man who left you doubting your worth will be the same one checking your stories, asking mutual friends about you, realizing too late what he had. That ego he once used to belittle you, it can't handle watching you become everything he said you couldn't be. See, success don't just mean money. It means peace. It means growth. It means joy. It means walking into a room with your head high, knowing you can break. You evolved. It means healing in a way that doesn't require attention. It just requires intention. And when you heal like that, when you win like that, he has to live with the fact that while he tried to play you, all he really did was motivate your transformation. Let him sit in the silence of your absence. Let him feel the weight of your elevation. Because the version of you that's coming after the pain, that's the woman he'll never have access to again. That's how you break his ego. Not with pettiness, not with payback, but by turning your pain into purpose and your silence into success. He thought you were weak, and now you're the strongest you've ever been. He thought you needed him, but now you're building without him. That's how you hit the ego. Not with hate, with healing. When somebody disrespects you, when they lie to you, cheat on you, gaslight you, take your love for granted, your first instinct is to break down. That's human. That's real. You cry, you ask why, you replay conversations, you blame yourself. But let me tell you something, and I need you to hear me like your future depends on it. You don't fight disrespect with tears. You don't win by breaking down. You win by building up. You fight that pain with transformation. You fight it by evolving into the version of yourself they never believed you could become. See, tears might bring temporary relief, but they don't bring change. That man saw you cry. He saw your pain. And if he kept doing what he was doing after seeing how much it hurt you, then your tears were never going to be enough to stop the disrespect. You can't beg a person to treat you right. You can't cry a man into being loyal. You can't break yourself into pieces hoping he'll feel whole enough to stay. It's not how love works, and it sure ain't how respect works. You got to understand something. A man who truly loves and respects you will move different. You won't have to question where you stand. You won't have to keep reminding him of your worth. And when you find yourself constantly having to explain how you want to be treated, you're not in love. You're in a battle for dignity, a battle for emotional safety, a battle that should have never existed in the first place. So how do you win? You transform, you rise, you flip the script. You stop giving him the version of you that tolerates disrespect. You stop explaining yourself to someone who already knows they're hurting you. You stop accepting less because you fear being alone. You take that energy and redirect it into yourself, into your healing, into your goals, into your glow. Because there is nothing more powerful, nothing more undeniable than a woman who refuses to let disrespect define her future. You think revenge is sweet? Try self-respect. Try getting up every morning and loving yourself so hard that no man ever gets to reduce you again. That's power. That's healing. That's transformation. When you transform, you start to move different. You stop checking his page. You stop hoping for an apology. You stop replaying the hurt, and you start focusing on the lesson. You ask yourself, why did I allow that version of love? Why did I let someone stay who made me feel small? And when you answer those questions with honesty and grace, you level up. Because now you're not just healing from him, you're healing from the part of you that tolerated him. Transformation ain't always pretty. It's painful. It's lonely. It requires you to look at yourself in ways you've avoided, but it's worth it. Because every time you choose to love yourself louder than the hurt, you grow. Every time you choose silence over begging, peace over chaos, dignity over attention, you shift. You start to become the woman you were before the heartbreak, or better yet, the woman you were always meant to be. That man thought you'd stay broken. He thought disrespect would keep you down, but what he didn't count on was your comeback. He didn't think you'd go from crying in the dark to walking in the light. He didn't expect you to take all that pain and turn it into purpose. But here you are, evolving. Here you are, transforming. Here you are, rewriting the story. And the next time someone steps to you with anything less than respect, you won't even flinch. You won't argue. You won't cry. You'll just smile, stand tall, and walk away. Because now you know the real fight is not to get them back. The real fight is to never lose yourself again. That's what I'm trying to say here. Let me tell you something that'll save you from wasting your time on people who ain't worth your energy. You do not need to argue with someone who already knows they did you wrong. You don't need to convince them they hurt you. You don't need to yell, scream, prove your point, or post quotes online, hoping they get the message. You want to speak loud, you want to really be heard, then glow up, because the glow up is louder than any argument you could ever have. See, when you argue with somebody who disrespected you, all you're doing is giving them access to your energy. You're letting them know they still have a hold on your emotions. You fighting to be understood, to be heard, to be validated. But baby, people who love you right don't put you in positions where you have to fight like that in the first place. They already hear you. They already value you. And the moment you have to start convincing someone to treat you like you matter, you've already stepped out of alignment with your power. But here's what most people don't expect. They expect you to go crazy. They expect the drama. They expect you to pull up, send long messages, beg for closure, throw shade, call friends, go off. But when you don't do that, when you fall all the way back and get silent, when you get focused, when you stop showing up and start showing out. That silence, that success, that's what shakes them. That's what hits different. That's the glow up. The glow up is when you take everything they thought would break you and use it as fuel to build a better version of yourself. It's when you go from crying to conquering, when you turn your heartbreak into hustle, when you stop reacting and start rebuilding. It's when you walk into a room glowing so hard, they gotta squint just to look at you. And the best part, you're not doing it to get back at them. You're doing it because you finally remembered who you are. See, there's a version of you they didn't expect to meet. The version that rises after being torn down. The version that's unbothered, unfazed, and unshakable. You ever seen somebody try to figure out how you smiling after everything they did to you? That's the glow up. That's your power. That's what they never saw coming. And that version of you don't have to say a word. She don't have to clap back. She just walks in her purpose and lets her peace be the response. People can argue with your words. They can spin your stories, twist your truth, but they can't argue with results. They can't argue with your elevation. They can't argue with the fact that while they stayed stagnant, you grew. While they were playing games, you were leveling up. While they were talking about you, you were building something they could never reach. That glow up becomes a mirror, and when they look in, they don't see you anymore. They see what they lost, what they mishandled, what they'll never have access to again. Let them talk. Let them spin the narrative. Let them pretend like they didn't lose something special. You don't owe anybody a debate about your worth. You don't need to be in rooms where you're constantly proving your value. Your glow will do that for you. Every win, every healed wound, every new level you step into, that speaks louder than anything you could say. The next time you're tempted to argue, to respond, to go back and forth, remind yourself, you're not in the business of explaining your worth anymore. You're in the business of becoming everything they said you couldn't be. You're in the business of silence and success. And the louder you shine, the quieter the noise becomes. Because at the end of the day, the glow up will always speak louder than your pain ever could. Closure. Everybody's out here looking for it, wanting that one last talk, that final conversation, that explanation that's going to somehow make all the pain make sense. But let me be real with you. Most of the time, closure ain't coming the way you think it is. That man who ghosted you, disrespected you, cheated on you, lied to you, played with your heart, he's not going to give you the kind of closure that brings peace. Because if he had the emotional maturity to offer you peace, he wouldn't have hurt you in the first place. You sitting around waiting on a sorry, waiting for the truth, waiting for him to finally act right, you're delaying your healing. Every minute you spend hoping for closure from someone who couldn't even give you honesty when it mattered is a minute you're stealing from your future self. The version of you that's supposed to rise from this, she can't fully show up if you're still stuck at the scene of the heartbreak waiting on an apology that may never come. So here's what you do instead. You choose silence. You choose success. You stop chasing conversations with people who already showed you who they are. You stop trying to get clarity from confusion. Sometimes the real closure is not in the words, but in the distance, in the silence, in the way you stop responding, in the way you no longer need their version of the story to write your next chapter. That's what real power looks like. Silence is underrated, but let me tell you something. It's loud to the one who expected you to keep speaking. It's loud to the one who thought they'd always have access to your heart. When you stop calling, stop explaining, stop showing up where they expect to find you, that silence speaks. It says, I don't need you to fix it. I've already decided to move on. It says, you no longer have the privilege of my presence. In that silence, it'll echo louder in their life than any argument you ever had. Now, add success on top of that silence, that's the knockout punch. See, when you take the pain they caused and you turn it into progress, when you stop mourning and start building, when you stop reacting and start evolving, that's the real closure. That's the moment you stop needing anything from them, because everything you need is already inside you. Your healing is your closure. Your elevation is your closure. Your joy, your glow, your peace. That's the closure they never thought you'd find without them. You ever see somebody who hurt you watching from the sidelines while you thrive? They can't say nothing, but they see it. They feel it. And the crazy part is, you don't even have to address them. You don't have to block them out loud or post a single quote. They'll feel the shift. They'll know they lost access to a version of you they'll never meet again. And that realization, that's going to be the loudest silence they've ever heard. You don't need the drama. You don't need the last word. You don't need to drag it out or keep reopening rooms just to feel seen. You just need to shift your focus from them to you. You just need to pick up your piece, fix your crown, and walk away like the whole world is watching, because your healing is a message. Your transformation is a message. And the way you choose to no longer make space for people who couldn't see your worth, that's the kind of message no words could ever deliver. Let them wonder. Let them sit in the absence of your voice. Let your silence become the space where your success grows. Because the truth is, closure was never supposed to come from them. It was always supposed to come from within you. And once you realize that, once you truly understand your power, there's nothing they can say or do to shake you again.